Good morning.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is Monday, April 20th for the cannabis users out there. 420 is a big day. So this is a big day for all of them out there. I know I don't have two of them here with me, but I do have Miss Hannah Hill from the National Association for Gun Rights. Good morning, Hannah.
Hey, Bill.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And Kostas Moros from the Second Amendment Foundation, who he and I both have flights to catch. Kostas, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good. I'm going to see if the guillotine's going to drop today or not.
Yeah, exactly. You're flying up to Seattle today.
Yep. And you're fleeing Seattle, so you don't have to see me.
I am fleeing Seattle. I'm heading back to the United States of America. I'll be flying out to Nashville today and then out in Murfreesboro for a few days. And then, Hannah, I'm coming your way, South Carolina. Woohoo! We're going to talk about that. Listen, we're going to talk about the usual suspects. You guys know what 5 they are. We've been kicking around forever. A couple of these have had like a dozen conferences. So Duncan v. Bonta and Gators Customs Guns for State of Washington are our 2 magazine ban cases. Viramontes v. Cook County, NAGR v. Lamont, Grant v. Higgins. They are our assault weapon bans. And then we got some new ones to the party. One that both Kostas and I are really pushing for. Gardner v. Maryland, a fascinating case how this even came to be. One that I don't feel real good about today, Kostas, Peterson versus United States.
No response was requested, so it's barring a huge surprise, it's getting denied.
Exactly. And then we got this goofy little 922 G1 case kicking around in Beard, which is the only one that just hasn't been chopped immediately. I think I know why. I did a little video mentioned it in a video yesterday. I think it has something to do with the federal sentencing guideline issue that might be on there. There's another case that's also on ice right now on the Supreme Court. So I think that they may have some interpretive issues on that. So anyways, Hannah, any predictions for today?
I agree with you that Peterson's not going anywhere, sadly. Even if we thought that the Supreme Court was going to be willing to weigh in on the NFA, regardless of the merits of the issue, which I don't, the fact that the Supreme Court let the government get away with not filing a response is pretty much an indicator. We know sometimes government parties will just when they're trying to play down a case, they won't file a response. And the question is, will the court let them get away with that? Sometimes the court will request one anyway. We've seen that a number of times. And then everybody.
One of the other cases we have on today went that way.
Exactly. Everybody perks up, and sometimes that's not necessarily an indicator that the Supreme Court's going to take it, but it is an indicator they're taking it seriously. And so if there's no response demanded or requested in this one, then, it does not bode well for Peterson.
Okay, Kostas, any predictions for today?
I woke up with an ominous feeling, but I hope that doesn't mean anything.
You woke up with an ominous feeling?
I hope it's just because I've only slept for about 4 hours. So
4 hours, man, that's a normal night's sleep. What are you talking about? You got little kids, man. You sleep's a luxury item. You get older, man. Come on. So, all right. Well, I don't know. Listen, trying to predict this is such an inexact science. I mean, God only knows.
Crapshoot.
I did take a look just so you guys understand how long we've been kicking around on this crap. Look at this. This is all the conferences that we've had on these cases. 12 on Duncan, 11 on Gators, 11 on Viramontes, 8 on Lamont, 7 on Higgins. I think that's 49 total conferences between all of them. So
did you add up the number of conferences Duncan had the first time at the Supreme Court? Because, man, that'd make a number.
Didn't, but I did do some geeking out, and I found that the Dobbs case, big case, actually, that had to do basically overturned Roe v. Wade, had been conferenced, I think, 12 or 13 times before it got accepted, which is what we were holding out for last year on Snope and Ocean State. Like, oh, yeah, no, Dobbs took forever to get accepted. And then all of a sudden one day, boom, nope, go home.
Clerks are slacking this morning. We're at 6:31 and no
6:31. So for those of you over in the United States Supreme Court watching this podcast, one, thank you very much. 2, get back to work because you got to get your orders list out. Come on.
They're
Ghost
probably
is
watching
like
the
a
stream and
flight
laughing
sketch.
at us right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Not posted it yet.
Exactly. Kavanaugh's clerk's just sitting there, just like, yeah, I'm gonna make him wait.
I'd do it if I was a clerk. I totally would. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There.
All right, here we go. We
Fingers
got an
crossed.
order list, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
come on, error.
Oh my goodness. It's
I
not
got an
loading
error
for me.
message.
Oh dear. What have they done to the website?
No.
All
Well,
right.
this would be funny.
Please
This is
stand
just
by. We
special
have
kind
some
of torture.
technical difficulties right now as the Supreme Court tries to get its IT
There
all
we go.
ironed out.
There we go.
All right, we got an orders list. Let's start with
No Duncan.
no Duncan. Okay. Well, at
No
least
Lamont.
no Lamont.
No
Come
Veramontes.
on, you slow ass computer.
That's
No
it.
Gators.
No Gators.
Gardner denied. No.
Oh,
Dissent.
are you serious?
No.
Why'd they just
Gardner got
toy with us?
denied.
Why do you request a response, get all these amicus briefs, and then not even a dissent from denial of cert? That's such a bummer, man.
That's a
Well,
Wasting our
especially
time.
because they made the state of Maryland reply to that. So you're sitting there thinking, okay, hey, they got a little interest here. And then a summary denial like that. And here's the thing. This is Ava Marie Gardner has a criminal conviction on her record now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This isn't some civil suit where someone's pissing and moaning about a law. This is a woman who, but for this, has an absolutely spotless criminal history and now has a criminal conviction on her record for a crime that she should have never been charged with, let alone convicted. So this is a sad day for Miss Gardner. It really is.
It was a crime that the founders
it's
should
really
never
aggravating.
count. Yeah.
How about
I didn't
Peterson?
figure a response request
Peters-
means we're getting a cert grant, but I thought it would mean we'd at least get some sort of dissent at minimum.
Yeah, or at least maybe kicked around on conference a few times so they
Yeah.
made it give us the lip service that they thought about it. Hannah, were you going to tell us about Peterson?
Yeah, denied as well.
Yeah, that one did not shock any of us because we had seen a waiver of reply brief granted by the court set for conference right away. That's a little trick Kostas taught me a few months ago. He's like, man, when that happens, they are DOA. And he's been right every single time.
Oh, Baird was granted limited to the following question: whether Stinson still correctly states the rule for the deference that courts must give the commentary to the sentencing guidelines.
There it is. Hey, I was able to read the tea leaves accurately on that. So there were 3 issues. 2 of them dealt with 922G1 challenges. Those are not going up to the Supreme Court. But the issue related to the federal sentencing guidelines and the Stinson case is some old precedent that there's this debate about whether or not it's still good law or not, or still apply. I don't know. I don't have to get involved in federal sentencing guidelines stuff anymore now that I don't have to do as many cases. But that's what I thought that was hanging up on. So that's accepted. That's good. And it doesn't take up the 2A space, right? Because it's not a night. So theoretically, this is a federal sentencing guideline question that's going up. That case, by the way, for those of you, is Beard versus the United States that Hannah was just talking about there. So
That's one or 2 they took this morning. The other one is unrelated, which is interesting though. 2 cases taken, and that's one of them.
Okay, what was the other case? Do we know?
St. Mary Catholic Parish versus Roy.
Okay.
I am not sure what that one is.
I have no idea. I'll look at it on the flight. It'll probably be boring as hell. I'll probably never look at it again.
Every
All
one
right.
of those long lawyer questions.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you see some of the issues that get taken up sometimes, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe the Supreme Court's wasting any time on this. Okay, for those of you who just tuned in, all 743 of you right now, thank you very much. We have a healthy dose of nothing burgers today. Our 5 usual suspect cases, the ones we most carefully watching: Duncan v. Bonta, Gators, Viramontes, NAGR v. Lamont, Grant v. Higgins. We have a whole lot of nothing on all of them. We do have some bad news today, and that is Gardner v. Maryland, a case that I felt very, very righteous about, has unfortunately been denied. Peterson versus the United States, a challenge to the NFA, has also been denied. That one does not come as a shock. Beard versus the United States has actually been accepted, but the 922G1 questions have not. It's a limited acceptance just on a federal sentencing guidelines question, so probably not going to have any application to the Second Amendment. This is normally where we go into morning scramble now, guys. But since Kostas and I both have flights, we're going to have a light breakfast today, which is called You'll Get Nothing and Like It. You're getting coffee black. That's all you're getting, which is about a normal breakfast for Washington gun law, by the way. I did mention this earlier, and of course, we can add one to every one of these. Duncan's will now go to its 13th conference. Gators will go to its 12th. Viramontes to the 12th. Lamont to the 9th. Higgins to the 8th conference. So,
At what point does it start feeling like a violation of the 8th Amendment?
At what point does this feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day? You know, that's. Here's our next conferences: April 24th, this Friday, May 1st, May 14th, which is actually on a Thursday. So we get to do this all over again next week. How excited are you
Cool. Just kidding. I love seeing you guys. I love seeing you guys.
Here's the thing. I want you to know Hannah and Kostas are here voluntarily. I sign up for this. This is my program. They are actually here out of the goodness of their heart. And like I said last week, guys, I cannot thank you enough for being here. It does make the program a lot better. It does make it more enjoyable. So thank you very much for being here.
So what you should do is come out to the East Coast with Bill, and we should have it together in person. That's just what I think.
Yeah.
Well, Hannah, it's interesting you mentioned that because next Monday I will be in South Carolina. Now, technically, I'm going to be in Columbia, South Carolina, but the producers are saying that next week's show is called WGL AM 2/3 live from Columbia, South Carolina. You should probably head up to Columbia and we can do this together.
Well,
either that or I can talk to the folks at Right to Bear and we inverse the order of my work. And then I just actually spend the early part of the week in Greenville, then go to Columbia. The problem is I got to turn around and come back to Greenville.
Right.
That's where I'm flying out of. So Washington Gun Law is on a 10-day road trip back to the East Coast. So Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina. If you see Washington Gun Law roaming around, come on by and say hi. So looking forward to it. Good weather. I get to wear some shorts this week. It has been months.
You will, yes. It's beautiful weather. Come on down. Very excited about seeing you, and we'll look at the schedule.
This is our welcome, but don't get too comfortable. These are all cases. We don't necessarily need to look them out. Most of these are 922 G1 challenges, but these were all the cases, again, using Kostas's metric of, hey, if they waive a reply brief and set for conference right away, they're dead on arrival. And all of these cases, I believe to be Hunter versus SF at the bottom there.
Let me look up Hunter. Yeah, the first three were all denied.
Yeah,
Hunter,
no, I expect all
Hunter
of those
was denied as well.
Yeah. Kostas, if you got a chance, Hannah, if you got a chance, yesterday's video that I did actually has Hunter versus SF linked up down below. It's a fascinating case. Let's just say that. It's a fascinating case. It reads a little bit like a pro se petition. So it comes as absolutely no shock that it didn't make it through today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Real quick before we get rolling here, I did go through all the Supreme Court cases. I had mentioned that there was a couple 18 to 20-year-old cases. It turns out there's actually 5 of them that have all conferenced months ago. And yet we haven't heard from any of that. And that's Paris v. Lar, NAR v. Glass, West Virginia Citizens Defense League versus ATF, McCoy versus ATF, and Pecan versus United States. All of those cases conference, a couple of them conference late 2025, the other was conference early 2026, all being held right now. So I'm assuming that we're just waiting for Hamani and Wolford. I guess it would be Hamani that would be most applicable to that. Kostas, you agree with that?
Probably, yeah. I mean, so weird that so many cases got denied cert that seem closer to that than me.
Like all the 922 G1 cases?
Yeah, because 18 to 20 cases are WHO cases, I guess, but they're really not at all related to Hamani other than the fact that they're vaguely about who can have the right to bear arms. But a lot of much more closely related cases got tossed. So,
well, yeah, because when we're talking about 18 to 20-year-olds, I think we're in 922B is where we are there. When we're talking about felons or cannabis users, we're in 922G. Now, there are 2 here cannabis cases that have also been put on ice. Harris versus United States, which is a case that Kostas and I were both real pardon the pun, high on, but because it was the best set of facts ever. And then if you take a look at the other case, United States v. Sam, you'll notice that the parties are in inverse order. The Fifth Circuit may love 922G1, but they don't like 922G3. That was a successful as-applied challenge to a cannabis user there. So there are 2 other cannabis cases being put on ice right now, waiting for Hamani to come down. And I think that's going to be a real interesting thing to watch, how those cases get GVR'd and how some of the lower courts deal with Hamani if the ruling goes the way we expect it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And how broad, how narrow, Go ahead, Hannah. Sorry.
They wouldn't need to GVR the cases if they were just going to rule against Hamani and uphold everything about the ban, which is why that's so interesting.
Good point. It's a good point, Hannah. Yeah. But it begs the question, and Kostas has this theory, and he could be right here. It's as good as any other theory I've heard, that the refunding of 925C is just kind of forcing the court, or having the court just like, no, we're not going to deal with it because DOJ is going to take care of it for us. And I just don't know, one, when that rule's coming out. Number 2, how effective that procedure is going to be in getting folks restored. Just don't know.
And 3, how long the rule's going to last.
Yeah, well, change in the White House in a couple of years, and we have a complete change in policy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're going to dry up as soon as, if Gavin Newsom presidency comes in, that regardless of what rule stays on the books, the process is going to dry up like that.
Yeah, I agree completely. I also think that's why there's some dangers in the ATF leaving some of these rules in the books.
Yes.
They sit there and they go, well, we're not going to enforce them. Okay, great. You're not. What happens when the next administration comes in? Right? The rule's still sitting on the book. That's the problem. They've got to get taken out. Right. So, all right. Any final thoughts here? This is a quick nothing burger. Again, for all of you who tuned in, thank you very much. Just to let you know that you don't see any of us either excited or throwing ourselves out the windows, because that is our usual 5 suspects. We got a big fat nothing on it again, which means we're going to be back a week from today. Hannah's shagging it all the way up to Columbia, South Carolina to join Washington gun law.
It's south of me. I'll be going down.
All right. I got it. Boy, I better get my directions straight when I'm driving around there. I'm going to end up suddenly like, what am I doing?
If you get lost.
What am I doing in Georgia? How the hell did I get in Georgia here? What's going on?
You sure you don't want to come out with him, Kostas?
Sorry.
Yeah, Kostas, you want to head out to the East Coast too?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm in a funk right now because I'm really pissed about Gardner.
Gardner. Kostas, that is. It's a bit of a cruel little act of teasing us on this.
Yeah, why even request a response? Again, I think I said this earlier. I wasn't expecting a grant necessarily because they love their percolation, but I thought maybe it'd get relisted a couple times. We'll get a good denial or dissent from denial. Explaining this, something we could cite at least going forward. But no, nothing. I don't know what happened. But clearly, and Maryland's response, by the way, was terrible. Like it wasn't.
Maryland's response was horseshit. Pardon my language, Hannah. I'm sorry, but it was, because they literally were like, it was like the last scene in The Wizard of Oz, man. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. I mean, it was literally like this. They never even wanted to talk about the merits of the case. What's really frustrating about it is, wasn't there a full faith and credit argument attached in Gardner as well?
I don't remember. I think there was. Yeah, I was focused on the Second Amendment argument, but yeah, there was. I think 2 or 3 questions presented.
Right. So you don't want to issue a big broad ruling, right? But is there some way you can go into that case with a scalpel and sit there and say, listen, because it's not that Miss Gardner just had a firearm and took it across state lines. It was that Miss Gardner was validly licensed in her home state of Virginia. She'd done everything she needed to do to have a concealed carry license. She happens to live in a border town. She's in Maryland frequently. And then the other thing about it is Miss Gardner, the only reason people knew that Miss Gardner had a firearm is because she actually had to use it due to a road rager and used it effectively to save herself. And she was never charged with any crime related to the use of that firearm, the display of the firearm, or anything like that. It was merely you had it in your car and you didn't have a valid Maryland license.
Yeah, and you also got high-profile amicus support. I mean, we didn't get DOJ, which was a bummer, but you got several state AGs, you got a handful of U.S. senators. So it's very odd. Well, not odd. I guess we're used to being crushed by the Supreme Court, but it was odd in that we didn't get even a dissent from it. So I don't know. And like you said, the response from Maryland was terrible. So it's not like whoever requested a response was satisfied with what Maryland said. I don't buy that. So I'm not sure what happened there. Hopefully they made some sort of handshake deal that they'll grant a hardware case for denying this one.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm not naive enough to think that. Anyway, to answer your question, Hannah, I would love to come out to South Carolina sometime. So we could all drink together after one of these.
That'd be fantastic.
You two can drink. Well, you two could drink together. I'll drive you around. I'm a retired drinker. Actually, Hannah's not much of a drinker either, by the way.
Neither am I, actually, but I might become one.
That's true. I spent. Yeah, that's true. This job. I did spend a week with Kostas down in Vegas, and I will tell you, he is a pretty tame guy. He was not down there totally tearing it up. So, anyways, all right. Well, listen, guys. I guess we're going to be back a week from today. It will be 9:30 in the morning for myself and Miss Hill. Kostas will have to get up crack of dawn again. How long are you up in Seattle, Kostas?
Oh, just till Friday. So
are you doing work up here with SAF, or do you got a conference up here?
No, it's for SAF. Yeah, we're going. I've never actually been to our headquarters before, so that'll be
beautiful Bellevue. You're in beautiful Bellevue, Washington.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
10 minutes from where I am right now.
Nice, but you're running away. Yeah, so
I am running away. I'm gonna go back and inhale some freedom. Well, so it's a tale of I start in Tennessee, then I got to go up to Virginia, which the trauma that's going to be going on up there ought to be interesting. And then I get back down to the great state of South Carolina. Get to spend a little time with Hannah too, so that'd be fun.
Cool.
We're gonna have
Hannah, any closing thoughts today?
Disappointed about Gardner. I just it's a really, really cruel thing. Kostas used the word tease, and that's literally what it feels like. It's a tease for them to take it seriously and then to, just to toss it out on its ear like that. So really, really sorry to see that happen. The only thing is I really hope you're right that they made a deal to take the hardware cases for it.
I hope so too, but I doubt it.
It's hard to hope for anything at this point.
Here's what I'm most bummed out about on Gardner and then I think a lot of credit here goes to Kostas, and I would have liked to seen this go all the way to the promised land, but I found Gardner literally on accident, and I mentioned it in a video. I was like, great case, terrible brief, because Miss Gardner herself had written it, and Kostas caught on to it, and he looked into it, and he's like, oh my God. He jumps in, SAF jumps in with an amicus. He starts making phone calls, gets a lot of other people involved. This thing went from nothing to something really big all of a sudden. And candidly, Kostas, I think you deserve a lot of credit for that.
Well, thank you. At the end of the day, there's no if you don't get the CERT grant, who cares?
I get it.
It was worth
I get it. But you know what? Miss Gardner went into that thing thinking her and her alone thought she had a righteous claim, and eventually you got a lot of other people to agree with it. You got a lot of people on her side, and I commend you for that. And it's really a shame because Miss Gardner does have a righteous claim.
Oh, and thank you to I doubt he's watching because he's a very busy attorney too. But Pete Patterson and Cooper and Kirk, they jumped on this, did a reply brief, and unfortunately it wasn't enough, but they really gave it their best shot to help out with this. So we appreciate that very much. Unfortunately, it wasn't. I guess it wasn't time yet for this.
And I'm sure the Maryland governor will give Miss Gardner a pardon.
Yeah, for sure.
He should. All right. Well, guys, we're going to get rolling here, but let's just remember that we are back again now on Monday. We don't know if it's really going to be called 2/3 live from Columbia, South Carolina, but we may actually. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Well, Kostas, last words for you before we get rolling.
Have a great week, guys. We'll see what happens next week.
Hannah, give us some words of wisdom before we roll out of here.
Life gets a lot better once you're past the hours of 6 and 7 in the morning.
There you go. Great words to end on. All right, both of you, thanks so much for being here. Kostas, safe travels. Hannah, I can't wait to see you next week. We're gonna have to do some cool video work when we're together.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm trying to convince Hannah to do an advertisement for NAGR, and she is just not there yet. So we're gonna lobby her a little bit more. All right, guys. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Have a great time.
Take care. Have a good one, guys. Take care of yourself. Stay safe, everyone.